Go ahead, Dennis.
Is it taking me out of the system already?
You're being recorded.
Okay. I'd like to call this meeting of the Budget and Finance Committee meeting to order on April 18th at 6:01 PM, April 18th. We do have minutes from April 4th, I believe, in your packet. Entertain a motion to recommend or approve.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? Okay, Sean George?
Yes.
Bill Wood?
Yes.
Dennis Gallagher, yes, so the minutes are approved. Public comment, anybody here from the public or anywhere else from the public that wishes to comment before we start our meeting? Anybody?
Just here to learn and observe as a council.
Seeing none, we'll move on to legislation referred. The first order is FY 23-053, the town clerk's salary. I know Councilor Wood passed out some information regarding
Yeah,
that.
and Debbie, I'll give you a copy of this. You can pass it on to finance. So at the last council meeting, Councilor Moore had asked about comparisons. And the top sheet, I had lost for a while. I think the top sheet came from Merrill, the town clerk now, with comparisons. I think that's where we got it, right?
Yeah.
But I'd spoken to a couple people and they hadn't seen this comparison anywhere. So it'd be good if the finance committee gets it. And then I had just been browsing the web and found 3 other towns that are similar size. So Franklin, it looks like, Franklin there, and this is the way it reads, it's been approved. So they're jumping their clerk salary up to 90 grand. Where Middleborough had an ad out for their town clerk at 89.5. This one for Wareham gets cut off a bit, but you should be able to find the article if you look for it. I circled that later in the article. It says that there was an amendment to lower it, but then at town meeting, they rejected the amendment and they kept it and approved at 95. And then, of course, Merrill Lee. So it looks like from the comparisons that similar sized towns, if all towns are the same general functions for their town clerks, are hovering around 90-ish.
I think that's fine. I mean, I think that you're right. Councilor Moore did bring up that, but I think the discussion was really leaning towards, are we talking position or personal? And are we going to hold this salary to the next town clerk? Or how would we, that's kind of.
Right, and then I responded that we cannot make decisions for future councils, future budget and finance. So as I look at this, this is what we have for the current town clerk. That's all we should be discussing.
So
anyway, I done
No,
some browsing. I
think-
just wanted to pass it.
no,
on.
I think it's good because I think eventually this conversation will come up, whether it's this year or a year from now. I think Braintree would be a good comparison as well. They're Barnstable. Braintree's bigger, but it's less than Barnstable is no comparison to Bridgewater. Franklin is a good one. Franklin's is the, and Mansfield probably would be a good one too. But anyway, we're not, I think these are good. I think there's more, but I really think the discussion was really leaning towards person versus position. And then we will have that discussion again, but you mesh this all together, what did you get?
I'm just saying it's
190?
I mean, it looks like it's around, 90.
Yeah.
And the only thing about the position versus function, I mean, we've all hired people, right? So when you hire for a position, usually you know what the function is going to be, and you set a range in your ad or in your discussion, and then based on experience of the person coming in, then you hire them at that. This process of hiring a town clerk is a lot different in that it's the town that elects the clerk. And so it seems to be more, and I didn't print it out here, but Years ago, I had a listing with the town clerk's office of 40 functions that they do. And I reorganized it. I will email it after this meeting, to you guys, but it's 40 functions that the clerk's office does and what they do. And the clerk is a manager of all those functions. So when you look at managerial, items, the difficult part of this piece is, again, you have a function driven mostly by Mass General Law, a manager who has things like planning for elections and managing people, and dealing with public. And so it's difficult, I think, to set a range and then say, well, someone won the election and their background is X, Y, Z, so we're going to pick this number within the range. That's my only thought on that is, it's you kind of have to pay for the function at this point. Even if it's a little bit low, if people want to go that direction, because obviously you're not going to select candidates from statewide.
So I mean, I believe that the point in this year's salary is really just a standard step in the pay grade to coincide with what other town employees are getting. And that's what was, I believe that was Sean George's intent here, is to stick with what normalcy is and not drag the salary down or drag it up tremendously at this juncture. I also believe, I don't think we can, I mean, we can certainly make a recommendation tonight and get it off our plate, but I don't think the council can act on this tonight because the finance committee is.
Right.
Oh,
Or you can just hold it, and wait until I think they're meeting.
I mean, are we going to deviate from what's being recommended? This is your last meeting. This is.
Well, I'm not voting on this because it's,
Right.
it won't be before the council while I'm there. So it's up to,
So
up to the nine people sitting there as to what they do. I'm just presenting information.
Right, you're gonna vote on this now, just to recommend. You don't have to recuse yourself because you won't be on the
Right.
council to approve it.
Right. Right.
So I would make a motion to recommend as is.
there a second?
Well, I'll make an amendment to increase the value up to. Where is it? Would it go to 85?
85007 is what's written here. Do you want to go higher than that?
Yeah. I think 88.
Which would be do you have the sheet?
I don't know
Do you
where.
have the
I don't.
we were
have
trying
the
to stick,
grades and
we were
everything.
trying to stick to the grades because that's what the position is in. So I'd say I think if you went to step 11, you might get to what you want. I'm not sure. Does Kim know?
Well, do we have a matrix?
I
of
didn't bring
grades?
it. I didn't bring it with me. But it was sent to me.
No, I get that. So also what we don't have is a comparison of like the other managers within town. Because most of the managers now are in a collective bargaining agreement. And I don't know where they sit with it's hard to compare responsibilities because it's different.
They all sit with, most of them sit within steelworkers, and you're right. It's very challenging because, all the jobs are different with different authorities and responsibilities.
But each step, I think, is about 2,800, 2,900. I don't know.
It depends on
So what, are you in there now?
the computer's trying to,
Okay. It's churning, revving up.
those
Lori's gonna
classifications that
She's in grade, right now, we're at what's on the table is grade 12, step 10. Which is $46.7070 an hour, or annually 85007. So if we had step 11, what would it be? And step 12, what would it be? One of those would get to what you're suggesting.
step 4.
Grade 12, step 10. I don't, maybe there's no more
There are 12 steps.
12 steps.
Yeah.
Okay, she's got steps. How many steps I got today? 2,000.
And currently you have
85007 at grade 12, step 10.
don't see anything sent to us. The grades.
It was never sent to you?
So it wasn't
So she might have plugged in a percentage for July 1 if there's if the,
Great.
Well, Kim's looking for where did the grade 12, step 10 info come?
the wage and personnel package that was done.
Right, so last time we did a study, the important part for us was the classification, so it takes, takes all these mismatched jobs around town and it classifies them mostly based on a whole host of things, but basically authority and responsibility. So she was,
All right, I got it, Kim. I got it, Kim. It was emailed to me. Okay, so currently, so grade 12, step 9 is where she is. We'll put her to grade 12, step 10, which is 40. I didn't do the math. She did the math. So if we go to grade 12, step 11, it goes to 40. What's the top? 47.
47.
Oh, it depends on the percentage. 2024, it's a 1-1. Everyone's getting 1% for the.
For 24. Currently,
for the next
she's
10
at
years. 24, 25, 26, 27, 28 says 1%, 1%. So fiscal 24 starts July 1. So that would be that one there. Read this thing. Looks like she would be, the position would be. Grade 12, step 10, okay. She would be 47. Grade 12, step 11 would be 47.4007. So if you want to multiply, what do you have? You want to multiply that, right? Am I right?
Yep. 98,500.
No.
That's, you said 47.4007 for 40 hours a week.
it's 37.
Yeah, it's going to, according to this, grade 12, step 10 is 4670. Its weekly is 35.
Oh, so you have
35
her at
times
35
52.
hours.
Huh?
You have her at 35 hours, not 40.
That's what Lori sent me.
Okay.
35 hours times 52
Most of our,
times, so you take 47.4007 times 35 times 52.
So is this annual number based on a 35-hour week?
Yes.
so most
Because
of our
managers were
department
at
leads,
40-hour weeks.
most of ours are 40. That's why. I gave
This,
that.
the number she gave me said 35.
Right, okay.
Um,
So it's.
I'm assuming she works 40, but an
Well,
hour
we
a
set
day.
a
for
policy
lunch.
years ago to have the managers work 40.
It doesn't mean they're not working 40. It means
I
they
know,
get a
but they
lunch.
should be
They don't
paid.
work 45 to get an hour lunch. You work 40 to get an hour lunch. Okay.
Not everyone. So
35.
I never got paid for it.
35 times 47.
So 47.4007 times 18, 20 hours
times
a year,
52 equals-
$86,269.27.
That's what I get. So you want, so we didn't, that's not far enough, right, Bill?
What was it?
All
What was
that-
that figure?
We
there?
went up
86?
1,000. We went up $1,200. So 47.4007
Yeah.
times 35 times 52
Yeah.
equals 86,269.
So I'm not as much concerned about the number, but now you're potentially going up 2 grades.
Yes,
If we're gonna get the Bills number, I'm not in favor of that. I mean, I understand the number, but if we're gonna follow the mythology on the grade and the steps, if we bring her up 2 or 3 steps, I think we're setting a precedent that we may
Yeah,
come
but-
back and blow.
So
blow
what
up
is
our
she
face.
now? Is she 9?
She's a 9.
10.
No, she's a 9, she'll
She's a
go up to
9.
a 10.
Right.
But
So,
now to get to your number, she may have to go to a 12.
but if she were in a collective bargaining arrangement, she would go to 10 this year anyway.
But she's not. I mean, but if we come back and go from a step 9 to a step 12, I don't necessarily know if we're setting the right tone on future collective bargaining agreements where if people only want to go up 1, they can say, well, town clerk went up 2, 3. Why can't we? I'm just voicing the concern. I understand the intent, but I think we have to watch out that if we live within the confines of how we bring people up in steps, then if we bring someone up 3 steps, there's other people out there that'll say, well, why can't I go up 3 steps? That's what my
So why
only
don't you just
concern.
make your motion to go to grade 12, step 12?
Well, what is grade 12, step 12?
It'll probably be 88,
48.5857,
and that's the
Is
end.
the
There's no
hourly.
more steps.
that's the end of the,
See that?
So that would be a 3-step increase.
48,
be 88,425.97.
And don't forget the position gets what, 900 for stipend.
Yeah.
Is that close
so
enough?
what was the hourly? 48?
48.5857.
All right, so I'll make a motion to take it to grade 12, step 12.
Is there a second? I don't hear a second, so that doesn't pass. That doesn't go forward. So do we have a motion? Do we want to recommend this tonight to the council?
I make a motion to recommend as is.
Is there a second?
Can I do a charter objection in committee?
What's, okay. There's a motion and there's no second. You're seconding it? There's a motion to recommend order FY 23053 as written.
Well, if it's not seconded, then it just
No
stays.
second, it stays here.
Okay.
No second. Okay. Next order is FY 24001. We get to the budget. FY 24 annual town budget. So the first order 001 is the actual operating budget of the town, which you have $67,065,100 for personal services, general expenses, principal and interest. For such purposes, each department would be considered a separate appropriation as shown below. And then there's a list of all the departments. You know, it doesn't have the breakdown as the big report.
I actually asked for a breakdown this afternoon and Don sent me the
Yeah.
detailed list.
Well, we got it at the
Yeah.
meeting last. We got it at the meeting last time. Yeah. it's in our packet. It's not in this packet, but it was in our packet the last meeting.
All right.
So we do have it.
I remember this form, not
Yeah,
more detail.
but there's all details. There's a lot of details. The devil's in the details. So now tonight's is to send it to advertising. Is that would be, if it comes back, I don't know if the finance committee chimed in on this one yet.
No,
No.
they haven't. So there's really, I mean, you don't have to take any action at this point, because it'll go to advertising for May 9th anyway.
Oh, it doesn't get voted on May
You
9th.
don't have to vote to have it go to
So
advertising.
when is your goal to have it voted on the second meeting in May?
May 9th. So 45 days after April 1st is mid-May.
Oh, so tonight we don't send it to advertising.
You don't have to.
Oh, we don't have.
You don't have to
Oh,
vote.
okay.
Yeah, so
All
So
right.
traditionally, we've just advertised a date, the first meeting in May. And I think there was COVID, well, COVID year was all different.
So you didn't advertise the details, you just advertised that the budget hearing is on May 9th.
Well, no, we have to advertise, enough detail. It's the same
Yeah.
advertisement we've done every year.
Yeah.
So, or different numbers, but the same advertising.
But you're saying that we don't have to, well, it's not on the agenda anyway tonight, right? So,
Council, no.
Right, you don't have to vote. So technically, legally, you don't have to vote to put anything to advertising. I mean, Deb can just do it. But we've gotten into that habit with
Yeah.
ordinances, you know, things that, you know, like marijuana, not to bring up. But marijuana, we went back and forth, and a lot of votes to send it to advertising were important because, you know, there were amendments that were made and,
Yeah.
you know, all of that. So with the budget, we've never voted to send it. We may have a couple times miscellaneously, but there's generally no vote to send it to advertising.
So if we leave it in committee, I don't know what's on the agenda tonight that's being referred to us. Or whether, you know, it's just gonna be probably you and I, Sean, if we don't recommend anything tonight. We'll take our votes tonight. Because May 9th will be the next meeting and we'll have to vote, make a recommendation before that unless you want to meet May 2nd or something. But
Well,
it's still just gonna be you and I.
it's gonna be 1, 2, 3. At least 3.
Things referred to us tonight, yeah.
Yeah. Stabilization fund for opioid. Opioid settlement. Neutral regulations, regulations.
We could meet Saturday at 11.
And
Well, it's 7 o'clock at night, we could.
the contractual ratification will come to us too, right? Yeah, so there'll be 3 more coming to us.
Do we want to take care of these tonight and get the votes out of the way? Are there any questions? The finance committee hasn't voted on these yet either.
No.
How, Michael, how time sensitive is the opioid?
Not, it'd be good to do it before the end of the fiscal year, but not.
Okay, so we have till the end of June?
Yep.
It's your call.
So I guess I'll entertain a motion to recommend the FY 24 annual town budget, budget order FY 24-001.
And I'll second it because I've already looked through
I was-
both.
Okay,
I'm just saying, I looked through both. I don't have any concerns.
Yeah, I asked for the line item because I didn't recall that we got it, so I just wanted to browse through it.
did you do ours for it?
And it looks fine.
Okay, so there's a motion, there's a second, any discussion, which we just had. All those in favor, Sean,
Aye.
Bill,
Aye.
Dennis, I, 3-0. Budget order FY 24-002, the Water Enterprise Fund.
I'd make a motion to recommend.
Second.
There's a motion to recommend, and there's a second, any discussion? Okay, Counselor George,
Yes.
Counselor Wood,
Yes.
Counselor Gallagher votes yes. That passed, that's recommended. Budget order FY 24-003, FY 24 Sewer Enterprise Fund. Is there a motion? Recommend.
Yes.
And second.
Motion is second, any discussion? Sewer Enterprise Fund.
Okay, no, never mind. That's my own question.
Counselor George,
Yes.
Counselor Wood,
Yes.
Counselor Gallagher votes yes. It's recommended, 3-0. Budget order FY 24-004, FY 24 Transfer Station Enterprise Fund. Is there a recommendation?
Make a motion to recommend.
Is there a second?
That one's missing.
Oh, actually, yes, that's not on here. Not in here, I should say. Is it in what we got?
Not in the packet.
I'll second for discussion.
The one you got today, Bill, not in there?
Well, the one that's printed out.
Yeah, it goes sewer
Hold on.
to revolving.
I think it was in the original.
Pulling it up right now.
Yeah, even the one that was emailed to us before.
As part of the enterprise fund.
There was some discussion at the meeting, I believe, about staffing. You would brought that.
I had, yeah.
I don't see it in the packet.
Is there any effort at some point to acknowledge that it is a lot busier for I've been going there since 1995. So I know with a lot of banter on social media about the cost of private pickup, I think they've picked up a lot of business down there with still the same amount of people.
Yeah.
Is
And
there any thoughts or something to, pay another person or?
So we do have a volunteer, as Bill pointed out last meeting, and, the volunteer, Harry Bailey, isn't inclined to
Isn't one.
want to be paid, but I think.
Oh,
that's
that's
going. Oh, really?
I asked him directly, yes,
Oh,
he would appreciate being paid if he could be paid.
Well,
And so with the
so we,
Well, there's a number of reasons behind that too, which.
liability.
Right, the town has a little bit of liability with them helping next to, compactors. But also, it goes into a more general, as Dennis pointed out, and I can attest now that I'm a regular user, it's gotten busier down there. So, one of the things that you want to be able to do, Rick never takes a vacation, never. And so I've asked people from other towns to have a similar setup, and what they do is they have someone in the DPW that's trained, but not staffed at the transfer station.
right,
So that if the person at the transfer station takes one, you can backfill with someone that at least knows how the material goes. And if you have a part-time assistant who's there every weekend, then you have an educated body also.
no, that is something that we've talked about. We haven't, put them on a pay scale at this point.
Wouldn't you have to do proper advertising anyway? Can't just say, here you go, we can start paying them. I don't know. To be fair.
Yeah, I don't know how it would work.
Yeah,
But this-
there is a
but-
process.
But this budget as presented does not include pay for another person.
It does not include that, but it doesn't stop us from, looking at it, and if we have to make a mid-year adjustment, we can do that, certainly. And presumably, Rick is raising the rates on like bulk items and so forth, so hopefully that will reap some benefits that we can use.
But your
That's my
point is well
understanding.
taken. Your point is well taken. I think there needs to be a backup.
It's because we don't have curbside service, it is an essential function of the town now to offer that transfer station.
So is there a motion to recommend transfer station enterprise fund budget for FY 24?
But we don't have it in front of us. I
All
would
right.
probably wait on that. 'Cause I don't know what the
That is-
numbers,
Curious that,
I don't know whether they're not, it's not. What,
Deb, do you have that budget readily handy or?
I can bring it in to you. Want me to bring it in?
Yeah,
I don't know why it didn't attach.
yeah. So let's
All
go, we'll move on to the revolving funds. Those are attached.
Yeah.
It's just to, it's a normal thing we do every year. It just authorizes the revolving accounts to.
so I do have a question on this. I may have asked you this before, Michael, one time, I don't recall. So we've got budgeted items in our operational budget for these positions as well, right? And then we've got these spending limits that reference some of the things that I would assume would be in the operational budget, specifically salaries, benefits, things of that nature. So why, like, for instance, the recreation department, you've got a spending limit of 150,000, but we've got 285,428. Well, 211,937 earmarked for salaries, wages, and benefits.
This is
So-
all fees, right?
right, so this is really all based on the summer recreation program. And, excuse me, so the program, it's almost like a mini enterprise fund. So
Right.
the program, the fees from the program get put into the revolving fund, and then we pay out the counselors, out of that
Okay,
fund.
so when it says here,
Summer council.
but the question I have is this, you have salary benefits of full-time staff, and then part-time and seasonal staff.
Yeah,
We've got salaries, wages, benefits of full-time staff here,
Yeah,
so
so
why the two?
what we used to do, which was not the right thing to do, was we used to take the Parks and Rec assistant.
Yeah.
And pay for her through this account.
Okay,
That made no sense. I mean, it makes no sense and it's really not relevant. She doesn't do any real summer season, summer camp
okay,
work. So this budget, we took her out of the revolving fund and we plugged her into the general fund budget.
okay,
So it probably should say something to the effect of salaries for seasonal, part-time and full-time seasonal staff. It shouldn't say,
well,
it doesn't, but bottom line is, this year it won't be paying for any permanent full-time staff.
Well,
So-
if we struck the words benefits of full-time staff,
well, that's what I mean, just salaries,
of
Part-time
part-time
and
and
seasonal.
seasonal staff.
Yeah,
we
that would
can,
work.
can we do that? Or do we do it at the council level?
You
Well,
can
we can
recommend.
recommend that.
All right, so that would be my only recommendation on this, is to strike out of full-time staff, benefits of full-time staff, and put salaries of part-time staff,
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll second.
just to clean it up. Because looking at both of them, we've got full-time here, we've got full-time there, why are we taking it from two
Yeah.
spots? So that would be my only,
But do any full-time employees get extra pay from this revolving account for helping with the summer programs? They don't. Okay.
No,
Like stipends, like,
no.
so is that an amendment? You want to make an, so
Yeah.
there's an amendment that's been seconded.
Yeah.
I agree with the amendment. Sean George on the amendment?
yes,
Dennis,
Counselor-
can you repeat their amendment?
The amendment is simply under FY Order 24005, Recreation Director, under expenditures, we are eliminating benefits of full-time staff. So it should read salaries of part-time and seasonal staff, recreation programs, facilities expense, and other expenses related to programs. Just the words benefit of full-time staff.
So really everything from the slash to the comma and replace that with the word of.
does that make sense, Debbie?
Yes, yep.
Okay,
We got 3-0 on the amendment. And now we are acting under the budget order itself, FY 24005 revolving accounts.
make a motion to recommend.
Motion to recommend. There's a second by
Second.
Councilor Wood. Any discussion?
Yeah, just
Any other
another
discussion?
question. So, and I'm sure I've asked this before, the spending limit. So if the fees, let's say the fees from, Council on Aging for fees and rentals comes in to be more than 20,000,
It's a-
where does that money?
It's a revolving. It stays
Yeah,
in
it
the
stays
It stays in the account?
account.
Okay. Got it. Thank you.
Any other questions? Sean George?
Yes,
Councilor Wood?
Yes.
Councilor Vagabos, yes. The revolving accounts have been, funds have been recommended. We'll go back to the transfer station. And we got our budget in front of us, FY 24004. Transfer station wages, salaries, benefits of 112,000. That includes health insurance and retirement and everything. Operating expenses appropriated for direct costs, indirect costs, total cost is $417,000.
make a motion to recommend.
There's a motion to recommend. Is there a
I'll
second?
second for discussion.
Second for discussion, Councilor Wood?
So the operating expenses, that includes all the hauling and everything else, right? So
Correct.
if that price goes up, then there might need to be a year-end transfer to satisfy that.
We've budgeted an extra $11,000 in that line item.
Okay.
So, but that doesn't mean that it will exceed that. I mean, that's
Yeah, okay.
said before, the trash business is
Big question mark.
But it
Volatile.
did end fiscal 22 with a positive.
not huge, but
It
yes.
was there, a couple bucks.
Yeah.
Couple of 5-cent returns that didn't need.
How's it look so far this fiscal year? I'm trying to-
I've been going every week, should be better.
bring more trash.
I've been going more often too.
It's a volume business. More volume, the better.
You know what department it is? It doesn't matter. I'm good with this. I'm just curious on how they track it.
It's, department, which notes? What did I do? Note department. Transfer station. $440.
But it won't be in here.
No, I have it here.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. That's sewer. Transfer station, 511.
I go from the board, I go from 510 to 541.
In the third quarter report you got, it's on page 34.
This far back.
We're pretty much on budget. But hauling expense is the
See,
deficit.
I got this today, yeah.
Okay. Looks like you now. Just like another column that either has green, black, or red. Green, we're ahead of budget, a good way, black on budget, red behind budget. Because I know the numbers are through Q3.
To 75%.
All right, well,
Right, so
it should be, yeah.
Yeah.
But even then, you gotta do the math again. We have machines for that. But anyway, okay.
But Michelle does a nice job of just highlighting, you know, the.
Oh, no, I'm not criticizing her work. It's the way my brain functions.
It also takes a while to realize that, you know, red in parentheses and revenue is not a terrible thing.
No, because it's looking at it from a full year perspective. And actually, black's good too, because we're ahead if it's revenue. Expenses, awesome.
So if you look at the very bottom, it says surplus or deficit. Right now, it's running $8,686 in a deficit.
Right, but that's only through Q3.
And a lot of people doing spring cleanups and stuff. It's gonna get a lot more use the next third, fourth quarter. So it'll be about even. So keep going.
Is that the
Keep
trend,
going.
is that the trend line? Instead it increases to every 80
I
grand.
told Linda,
If Broad Street was ever cleaned up, there'd be well over.
immediately.
Somebody pays for it.
So we have a motion and a second. Questions have been answered.
Yeah.
Councilor George,
Yes,
Councilor Wood,
Yes,
Councilor Gallagher votes yes. Reading nothing. All the budgets are going to be recommended to the council on May 9th. Next item is public comments. Is there anybody here from the public that wishes to comment at this time of our meeting? Anybody at all? Anybody? Don't see anybody. So we will have our next, since there's a few things being referred, do you want to meet before the 9th or on the 9th?
On the
This time? So we'll meet on the 9th at 6 o'clock, 6:15.
I don't think any of those things are gonna be heavy lifting. So
6:15.
6:15 is fine. I mean, I'll be coming from Hingham, so
I'll be
the
here.
later the better.
I'll be here. So 6:15. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Mine's busy May 9th.
Huh?
My busy May 9th.
There you go. Zoom in. So there's a motion, second. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned at 6:41 PM.
Thank you, gentlemen.